Good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday, June 24th. From the San Antonio Express News, my name is Luis Vasquez, and this is your Express Briefing. All of the stories you need to know to start your day. You can expect possible thunderstorms and a high of 92. Today, we're expecting new census numbers to be released, including info for 2019 county demographics like race, ethnicity, age, gender, and more. We'll have details when they're available. Our taste team will make you scream for ice cream, and we'll show you how to make it at home. Look out for our guide on making ice cream, granita, and other frozen desserts without an ice cream maker. And of course, we'll have the latest on the spread of coronavirus and its effects on San Antonio and South Texas. Our interactive maps and charts are regularly updated with the latest data from Texas and around the country. And now, here are the top stories for the day. As COVID-19 cases surge in San Antonio, pushing hospitals closer to the breaking point, public health investigators are scrambling to interview those who contracted the virus to pinpoint the sources of infection. The information Metro Health receives is largely anecdotal and frequently vague, making it difficult for officials to identify the source of infections with any precision. For instance, the CEOs of San Antonio's 4 major hospital systems told officials last week that auto dealerships were among the top 3 places for transmission, along with bars and gyms. Despite the lack of hard data, Bridger and Mayor Ron Nirenberg warned the public about auto dealerships, bars, and gyms, immediately stoking anger among auto dealers who accused the mayor of spreading hearsay. Brian Chasnoff has that story at expressnews.com. The state will continue to fund school districts for remote learning in the coming school year. That's what Texas Education Commissioner Mike Morath said in a phone call with superintendents on Tuesday afternoon. Texas has ordered districts to open campuses for students who choose to return to classrooms, but Morath said he'd wait until later to offer the guidance for in-person instruction that school leaders were expecting. Education reporters Krista Toralva and Alia Malik have reactions from the leaders of San Antonio's biggest school districts, plus a look at the biggest remaining unanswered questions. Alamo CEO Douglas W. McDonald, an Ohio museum consultant named to the top staff position at the state-owned historic site 3 years ago, has opted not to renew his contract so he can travel, raise cattle, and spend more time with his wife and family. The nonprofit Alamo Trust announced it's launching a search for new leadership at the mission and battle site. Scott Huddleston recaps the accomplishments of McDonald's tenure and the criticism he's faced since taking over the role in 2017. Wade Miller, a retired Marine who serves as Chief of Staff for U.S. Rep. Chip Roy, has been outraged by the tenor of the Black Lives Matter protests that emerged in response to the killing of George Floyd by a Minneapolis police officer. At one point, Miller blasted Larry McGillicuddy, an Atlanta resident and self-described hater of President Donald Trump, with insults. Columnist Gilbert Garcia dives into more of the staffer's tweets and the way he handled some of the backlash. Next up are your need-to-know headlines. You can find all of these headlines and more in your Express News subscription. The San Antonio area added 311 new cases of the novel coronavirus on Tuesday, bringing the total since the start of the pandemic to 7,467. 3 more people have died of COVID-19, pushing the death toll to 100. Texas added yet another record number of coronavirus cases on Tuesday, nearly 5,200, as Governor Greg Abbott urged people to wear masks and stay indoors whenever possible. HEB is replacing its temporary pandemic pay raise with permanent ones worth more than twice as much for the average employee. Assuming its enrollment will not change, SAISD trustees approved a $636 million budget for the new fiscal year, counting on a promise from the state education commissioner that funding rules released Tuesday would keep the district whole. The Federal Transportation Department has turned down Minneapolis-based Sun Country Airlines' request to terminate service at San Antonio International Airport between now and September 30th. San Antonio tax preparer Richard Medina Sr. pleaded guilty on Tuesday to preparing a fraudulent tax return for a client and filing false income statements in his own bankruptcy case. A San Antonio police officer charged with domestic violence has been fired for the second time after officials allege he struck his then-girlfriend 2 different times, according to disciplinary records released Tuesday. A lightning-filled downpour delayed a food distribution event at Toyota Field for more than an hour on Tuesday, but it didn't dampen the enthusiasm of San Antonio Food Bank staffers and volunteers. After an extended labor management standoff, Major League Baseball and the MLB Players Association came to a final agreement on Tuesday on plans to begin the 2020 season next month. Ex-Spur Davis Bertans became the first player in the NBA to take measure of what he stood to gain in the Disney World bubble compared to what he stood to lose, and officially decided it's not worth a trip. "20-year-old Private First Class Vanessa Guillen of Houston was assigned to the 3rd Cavalry Regiment. She went missing April 22nd, triggering a search that included more than 500 soldiers a day who combed parts of training areas, barracks, and other parts of Fort Hood. There have been many other searches since, including this week in an area along the Leon River. Sig Christensen has the latest on the effort to find her. And now, the fun stuff. San Antonio's annual Pride Bigger Than Texas event, organized by James Poindexter, will take place on Saturday. But because of the safety concerns related to the pandemic, this year's celebration will not be happening in person. You can find information on the program at expressnews.com. We caught up with San Antonio actor Jesse Borrego to talk about Phoenix, Oregon, an unlikely #1 movie in an unusual time. The Dave Bautista action comedy My Spy, which premieres Friday on Amazon Prime streaming, leads our roundup of what's new in home entertainment. Nowhere Bookshop, writer and blogger Jenny Lawson's much-anticipated Alamo Heights store, isn't open yet, but it's now offering curbside pickup. The Randy Rogers Band is making a cautious return to live music at John T. Floor Country Store in Helotes on Friday. You can find more details at expressnews.com. When the UTSA men's basketball team met for a Zoom call to discuss the Black Lives Matter movement, forward Phoenix Ford spoke on his unearthed feelings. At UT Austin, former athletes have come in support of current student athletes as they push for the university to confront certain dark parts of its own past and present. This was your Express briefing for Wednesday, June 24th. My name is Luis Vasquez. Consider becoming an Express News subscriber to get in-depth coverage on all the stories you heard today. Also, be sure to rate and review this podcast in your Apple Podcast apps, as it really helps the show. Have a wonderful day, everyone.